E ngā mana i ngā reo ngā karanga maha o te motu. Kia huri ngā whakaaro nui ki tō tātou nei rohe o mai make tū ki tō ngariro. Kia whāngai he mātou ngā huatanga i te matinga o tō tātou nei pāpā a Māori Tapsel, e te mātua e te pāpā oki e moi, e au tō moi. Kia huri ngā whakaaro nui ki tō whānau i tēnei wā i raro i te pare kawakawa. Rātou ki a rātou, oki e koutou, e moi, e au o koutou moi. Hoki pai mai ki a tātou te hungo rati hei Māori rora. As we acknowledge the passing of Maru Tapsel, can we please have a minute's silence? Tēnā tātou. Māori ora ki a tātou. I remind councillors that this meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and that its recording will be made available to the Bay of Plenty Regional Council website following the meeting. I also remind all present and local government decisions making affords no protection to councillors, council officers, and the public of comments made during the meetings that are subsequently challenged in a court of law and determined to be slanderous. Apologies. Can I please get a mover and seconder for the apologies of Councillor Glenn Dougal, Councillor Malcolm Campbell, and Councillor Kat McMillan? Thank you, Councillor Kuma, and thank you, Councillor Graham. All in agreed? Bye. We have the public forum has been accepted by one late request by Auntie Raywin, who will speak towards the end of this kaupapa. E te whaia tēnā koe nau mai hara mai whakatau mai. Items, there are no new items for the agenda. The order of business is no changes in there. Declaration of conflicts of interest. Calling for any conflicts of interest. No, thank you. I would like to commence the Emergency Committee Māori meeting held today on the 18th of February 2026 at our 1 p.m. meeting. I need to acknowledge the writers of this report, Anaru Verko, Charlene Pari, Adele Haywood, and also Kataraina O'Brien and others that have contributed to this kaupapa. I would like to also say thank you to my fellow councillors for taking on this late submission and request for today. Can I please have, sorry. Oh, there we go. We've got Steve. I'll hand it over to Kataraina, who will give us a briefing over it.
Tēnā koutou councillors, thank you for your time today, and we really appreciate that you've had limited notice to consider what is such an important kaupapa, and just acknowledging that. The catalyst for this report came from some direction at council meeting last week to our chief executive, and before that from Komiti Māori meeting, where lots of views were heard from tangata whenua that were present. We've structured the report based on that, and you'll see on page 7 the report starts, and then we've got a draft submission on page 12. The submission has been drafted considering the information received by Councillor Tafau last week and circulated to the councillors, as well as the submission from council that was approved last week. And so that submission is a reflection of both, and they're consistent with each other. You will see that there's a recommendation. We sought a review on the recommendation, acknowledging that it is so important to make sure procedurally that we have integrity, and that is correct. So we sought the advice from our governance team, and since then we have come up with perhaps a alternative amendment, which I will defer now to Steve Groom, who will talk through that and the reasons for it.
Thank you, Katalana. Kia ora, councillors. Yes, as Katalana outlined, staff now had an opportunity to consider the procedural process of this more fully, and I'd like to present a proposed alternate recommendation for the consideration of the committee. To be clear, this doesn't change the body of the submission, it's purely the vehicle for making this decision. So we start from two key positions. One is that the draft Committee Māori submission is logically and positionally consistent with Council's resolved submission, but provides a specific perspective on an area within the terms of reference of Komiti Māori. And that Committee Māori, while Committee Māori does not have the authority to alter a resolution of Council, but does have the authority to make submissions, there is benefit in presenting the government with a cohesive representation of the council and its committee's positions. With that in mind, we'd like to propose an amended recommendation to the committee, which is on the screen in red text, but I will read it now. Recommendation 2 would become Komiti Māori approves Committee Māori submission on the simplifying local government proposal, agrees that the submission will be delivered alongside the Bay of Plenty Regional Council submission with the following wording by way of introduction. The following submission has been resolved by the Council's Committee Māori as a considered perspective of its position on the simplifying local government proposal as it relates to our Council's role and obligations. We're recommending this because it clearly delineates a Committee Māori submission from the Bay of Plenty Regional Council submission, but provides an opportunity to package the information together into a cohesive whole for the Department of Internal Affairs receiving the feedback. Happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Steve. Councillor Shirley.
Thank you, Chair. Colleagues might recall that I spoke out against having a separate submission as a matter of principle, and I see that that's been taken and essentially attempts to address it here. My concern was that Committee Māori, a very important committee of this organisation, is a committee of the whole, and I just thought it wrong in principle to have a parallel submission that was not from the council as a whole. I guess, and that's really what this amended recommendation 2 is addressing as I see it, but I still can't quite, I'm still thinking through, a submission will be delivered alongside. So what we're saying is it's not part of, but it's parallel and alongside. I just can't quite grasp that.
Yes, that's correct. So they'll be delivered together with the statement inserted in front of the Committee Māori.
So effectively it is still a separate submission.
I guess, yeah, effectively a separate submission, but presentationally a cohesive package is what we're aiming for.
I'm
sure you'll come back to me.
Yeah.
I think what Ken's saying is that instead of it being alongside, it should be as part of.
Madam Chair.
My understanding is that it is part of. It's almost like a part A and a part B of the whole. That's my understanding of it. So it's not separate in its entirety. It's an addition to, and that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, perhaps if I unpack the mechanics of it a little bit, that if you were to want to alter the council submission to incorporate Komiti Māori submissions, then you'd need to return to council and pass a resolution to alter your submission. So this seems to be a way to achieve the aim of presenting the council's perspective with the focused perspective of Komiti Māori together as a cohesive package, without requiring alteration of the council's position, and noting that they're consistent, positionally consistent documents. It's just one has a more specific focus.
Thank you. Any more questions?
No, I'm happy to move.
Thank you. Moved by councillor Grayling, second by
Sorry, point of order. Are we moving the recommendation one and two
Recommenda-
together, or are we doing them separately?
together.
Because I would support the first one, but not the second one.
Move the first and separate.
Okay,
Well, I
so
don't-
this is the one for the new recommendation, number 2.
Okay, so why have you blotted out 2? Because it's been amended to the red one.
The red one. Committee Māori submission on the simplifying local government proposal agrees that the submission will be delivered alongside the Bay of Plenty Regional Council submission with the following wording by the way of induction. The following submission has been resolved by the Council's Committee Māori as a considered perspective of its position on the simplifying local government proposal as it relates to our Council's role and obligations to Māori. So we're moving 1 and the new number 2. We've got a mover by councillor Grayling, second by Madam Chair McDonald. All in favour?
Aye.
All opposed? Those opposed?
No,
The ayes have it. Tēnā tātou.
should I have be recorded as a no vote?
Can we record that? Thank you. Thank you very much, Steve, and to the team for actually doing that quite quickly for us from last week. We really do appreciate it. I'd like to now call Raymond Bennett,
Oh,
who has a few words to share with us. Tēnā koe, Auntie, no mai hara mai. Just need to push the button. Ka pai.
Ngā mihi, councillors, and congratulations to you all putting your hands up to be councillors. I enjoyed my time on council, and can I just say today, before I came here, I was at another meeting, a challenging meeting, and about Māori issues, and I said the process is as important as the outcome. So the process is important as the outcome. And I've seen that today. The process of bringing it back to council, discussing, people saying why they weren't happy with or couldn't support. I think that's really important part of the process of what is a new situation like Māori representatives, Māori committee. Those are quite new things, and Regional Council has the privilege of leading the nation in those steps. I want to say that I was at the Committee Māori meeting, and even when I was on council, I had an issue. It was hard to reconcile how do I honestly represent Māori and make sure Regional Council submissions acknowledge that, and then have Māori support to do that. I didn't think being elected as a councillor necessarily gave you the privilege of submitting on behalf of Māori. So I would tend to support that the Māori Committee's submission be part of the Regional Council's submission. I like the way it's been presented, and I do think it does reflect what happened at the Committee Māori. So anyway, I'll just leave on that note. Thank you for considering it and making yourselves available to vote and discuss it today. Just leave you with that. The process is as important as the outcome for Māori. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe, Auntie Raywin, and you're definitely right. That was one of the biggest things that we found out of this procedure is around a process that can benefit everyone. So ngā mihi nui kia koe. And also online, just want to acknowledge Eugene Berriman Kemp, CE for Ngāti Manawa, who's also put his support in for the submission that Komiti Māori has put forward as well. And there's a few others, Ngāti Manawa, Ngā Manawa here in Tauranga have also given their support in regards to the submission in regards to simplifying local government. So to all of our organisations and whānau, he mihi tēnā kia tātou katoa. Thank you, Auntie. Appreciate you and the service that you have done, not only on council, but for our community. Rawe rawa atu, tēnā koe. That brings us to the end of our Komiti Māori hui. Ngā mihi nui kia tātou. We'll see you all next week. Nō reira, I'll close us off with karakia, and then we can go our merry way. Ngā mihi nui kia tātou. Kia tātou katoa. Te ata whai o tō tātou arike, hukaraiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga teitanga ki te wairua tupu, ake, āmene. Tēnā tātou.
Just want to ask, is everyone coming to tomorrow's meeting or Zoom in? The executive committee employment.